Menjual bukan soal memaksa, tapi memahami manusia. Ini rahasia sales dari Brian Tracy. Tahan sampai insight terakhir.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the powerful sales wisdom of the legendary Brian Tracy. This is basically a 5-minute guide designed to help you supercharge your income. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll start with an incredible story about going from rock bottom to the very top. Then, we're going to lay out the proven 7-step system for success. After that, we'll uncover a shocking truth about productivity that might just change how you see your workday. And we'll wrap it all up with the kind of mindset that separates the amateurs from the true masters. So, our story doesn't start with some huge success. Nope, it begins with a moment of real desperation. A moment that led to a discovery that changed everything. When Brian Tracy first got into sales, he was knocking on doors, working these brutal 12 to 14-hour days, and he was making just enough to get by. I mean, he was working incredibly hard, facing rejection after rejection, and basically just spinning his wheels, getting nowhere fast. But then he noticed something really fascinating. There was this one guy in his office selling the exact same product at the same price in the same economy, but this guy was earning 10 times more than anyone else. And get this, he was just working a comfortable 9-to-5 day. So after 6 long months of struggling, Brian Tracy did something that would change his life forever. He swallowed his pride, took a deep breath, walked up to that top performer, and just asked him that simple, powerful question. And you know what? The secret he learned wasn't about working harder, and it wasn't about having some kind of magic personality. It was about following a logical 7-step process, a system. This right here, this is the entire roadmap, and it's a system, not a suggestion. It takes you all the way from finding the right people to talk to securing future business through referrals. Every single one of these steps is crucial, and each one builds on the last. Now, the real game changer in this whole process is step number 3, identifying needs. See, Tracy realized that instead of just talking at people, he had to start asking really thoughtful questions to truly understand their problems. That right there, that was the hinge that every single sale would swing on. All right, let's move on to a really surprising discovery, one that shows you exactly where your focus needs to be if you really want to maximize your income. I want you to think about a standard 8-hour workday for a second. How much of that time do you think a salesperson actually spends in a real, face-to-face conversation with a potential customer? Maybe 2 hours? 4? Well, according to a long-running study by Columbia University, one they started back in 1928 and have updated ever since, the answer is a jaw-dropping 90 minutes. That's it, just 1.5 hours. This chart just visualizes that stark reality. I mean, look at it. The vast majority of a salesperson's day is spent on stuff that doesn't actually make them money, like travel, paperwork, emails, procrastinating. And this crazy observation leads us directly to what Brian Tracy calls the law of 3. It pinpoints the only 3 activities that are responsible for 90% of your results. And here they are. It's simple: prospecting, presenting, and closing. That's it. These are the income-generating activities. The more time you spend on just these 3 things, the more money you will make. It's a direct 1-to-1 correlation. Now, Tracy actually put this to the test with a huge company during a recession. He had their 350 salespeople just start tracking their face time with customers. And sure enough, they found their average was about 90 minutes. So they set a simple goal: double it to 180 minutes a day. The result? Their sales shot up by 30% during one of the worst economies. But here's the thing. Having a system and managing your time, that's huge, but it's not quite enough. To really get to the top, the best performers adopt a very specific mindset to achieve true mastery. You have to start seeing yourself as a doctor of selling. And I'm serious, think about it. You would never let a doctor give you a prescription before they've examined you and figured out what's wrong, right? Well, your customer is no different. The amateur just talks and pushes their product. The professional, they examine, they diagnose, and only then do they prescribe the right solution. So how do you build that kind of trust? It all comes down to effective listening, and these 4 things are the key. Listen without interrupting. Pause to show you're actually thinking about what they said. Ask clarifying questions like, "How do you mean exactly?" And finally, repeat their points back to them in your own words to prove you really get it. You know, top performers get to the top through something called deliberate practice. They don't try to get better at everything all at once. No, they identify the one single skill that will help them the most, and then they focus like a laser on mastering it. This kind of focused practice even applies to closing the sale. Instead of all those high-pressure, cheesy tactics, one of the most powerful techniques is just a simple, low-pressure question, the invitational close. You just ask, why don't you give it a try? It's calm, it's an invitation, not a confrontation. So if there's one big thing to take away from all this, it's that success in sales is a controllable process. You can't control the final result. You can't make someone buy, but you can absolutely control your activities. You control how much time you spend with customers, how you practice your skills, and how well you follow the system. And when you control the activities, the law of probabilities starts to work in your favor. And that leaves us with one final, powerful question I want you to really think about. Ask yourself this right now. What is the one skill that if you got absolutely excellent at it would help you the most to double your income? Identify that skill, make a plan to master it.
Satu like itu tanda setuju, satu share itu tanda peduli, dan satu subscribe itu tanda kamu siap naik level.
Semoga info tadi bermanfaat. Komen MAU jika Anda ingin mendapatkan free ebook tentang bisnis dari kami.